The video doesn't see that, though.
Okay, but can you make it go away so I can see me? Hi guys! Welcome back to the Book Brood. Today we're doing another tag, and this is the worst book sins tag.
This tag was originated by eBook Adventures, and we were tagged by Andrea Pryke.
Yep.
We'll link their channels down below. And so question number 1 is, how many books do you own that, if you were being truly honest, you know you will never read? I think I might have one, honestly, because most of the books that I own are off of my sci-fi list that I'm trying to go through. And when I finish that, which is going to be this year, hold me to that, I'm going to do a big unhaul of the ones that I don't want to keep. But I don't own really many books outside of that list, except for ones that I've read and I love. So
yeah. Behind us, you can see most of all of the stuff that I own that I haven't read yet, and I just randomly pick shit up that sounds good. So honestly, at least a dozen of these are not going to get read. At least. Okay, question number 2. Have you ever borrowed a book from a friend and never given it back?
Yes. 5 years before Game of Thrones was a huge thing, my best friend loaned me this copy of Game of Thrones.
It had a cover at one point.
I have not given it back.
Didn't we buy him a new copy because we shredded this one?
I think we did, but I don't know what happened to how it lost its cover. But
I think it was
a
holding,
trade paperback.
It was holding on by a thread before, I think, and then with multiple people reading it, it just disintegrated.
But I didn't read it until after
the show
after the
started.
whole hype started.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I did finish reading all of the books before the seasons, though. So until at least I stopped watching the show, because that's when the show became a narrative that I was not interested in.
Yeah. I have this one, at least for sure. This is The Idiot Girl and the Flaming Tantrum of Death. Reflections on Revenge, Germophobia, and Laser Hair Removal. So, one of my oldest friends lent this to me, which it sounds hilarious, and I've had it for like 3 years, and I haven't even picked it up.
Have you ever pretended to read a book that you actually haven't read? I did this all the time as a child in grade school, because I hated reading. It was such a chore, and I've, got some kind of, reading deficiency or something like that.
Vitamin
reading
B
handicap.
Books.
I don't know. I read different than most people. This was researched by educators in my grade school time. And if you heard me try and read aloud, you would notice it too. You probably do, just on the questions that I read for this. Anyway, it doesn't happen in my head, but even when I'm reading to my children, they think I'm a dunce because...
No. For the rest of these, basically my answers are the same. So, in school, there was a ton of assigned reading that I just straight up refused to read. Basically, anytime we had to read Shakespeare, I was just like, no, that's not gonna happen. We had that freaking book on the nuclear fallout, and like, I could not read that book.
Was it Barefoot Gin?
I don't remember what it was called. It was just, I was like, I was in 9th grade, and I was just like, I can't read about children dying of nuclear
I think
radiation.
It was just called Hiroshima. Was that it?
I feel like it was a speculative fiction of like what would happen in the States if like we were attacked.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't read it, but we were forced to watch the movie, and I think I pretended to be sick, actually, half that week. It just wasn't for me.
I did that in high school in health class when they were going to bring in the STD slides.
Nice.
Anyway, you don't want to know about that.
Okay, next question. Have you ever preferred the TV or film adaptation to the book?
I have not. But I haven't seen the Sci-Fi Channel adaptation of Childhood's End. But that is one of my favorite books of all time, so I generally hate adaptations because, I mean, Fight Club's like a rare example. I feel like I haven't even read that. And
Fight Club, man.
Adaptations just make me angry most of the time.
I think Fight Club, it does work better as a film than a book. I didn't even think about Fight Club. But I think Fight Club also skates by on the fact that it's Brad Pitt and Edward Norton and what's
And Meatloaf?
No.
Ellen Bowman Carter.
Yes. I can never remember her name. But yes. That was a better film. But I was gonna say Sherlock because even before BBC Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock, I think that like all of the Hollywood movies of Sherlock are more adventurous and more like exciting. And every time I sit down and try and read the original Sherlock material, it's just so boring and dry.
You just don't understand the magic of deductive reasoning.
When Benedict Cumberbatch is sitting there, and there's like all these graphics of all the things that he's seen, and like
Minority Report in it.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Like this text I'm gonna swipe aside there.
It's much more exciting that way.
Which one are we on?
Right here.
Have you ever judged a book by its cover? Never.
All the time.
Oh, never. No.
All
No.
the time.
That's I always read the synopsis in the first chapter before I ever. All the time. All the freaking time.
I'm gonna say like 90% of the time I judge a book by its cover.
When I was a non-reader as a child, I would go through the grocery store line and see like those sci-fi books that had like the really interesting, just covers and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, that looks good. I should buy that and read that sometime. Yeah. Never gonna happen.
I use our Overdrive app for our audiobooks from our library, and when I'm searching through there for stuff that I've never heard of before, I just start skimming, and it's not until I see like a cover that catches my eye or a title that catches my eye, and then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll read the synopsis on that one.
And honestly, yes, I do listen to some audiobooks on YouTube.
Yeah.
But you only listen to the ones that you search out because the thumbnails for the audiobooks on YouTube are not appealing to, the average glance of just a browser. Yeah. Lurker. This is getting a little long-winded.
I don't know who's texting us, but both of our phones keep going off.
It's your mother.
We just saw her a few hours ago. Okay. Question number 6 or something. Have you ever read a book that you later realized was problematic?
Yes, I have. That book being the Song of Ice and Fire series. It relies on shock a lot when it shouldn't be necessary. I feel like the show... the show even more.
Took it way
definitely.
too far.
The fact that... I respect the fact that George R.R. Martin kind of writes this off the cuff, but that's... I've never read any Brandon Sanderson, but he's a reliable guy. I mean, he says he's got a story he's going to write. He writes it, and he gets it out, anyway. George R.R. Martin, Patrick Rothfuss, next book.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen? That's a whole nother video.
I swear to God, if Patrick Rothfuss does not have, a tight outline for how he's going to finish this in one more book, I don't understand. How can you do it? How can you wrap up everything else?
And he's sold the intellectual property to television, movies, and video games already, and the story's not even done. And that's...
If he doesn't get it out in the next, like, 2 years, he's, like, it's never gonna fucking happen.
Mm-hmm. At least he's not... So there's, like, I think there's, like, the first 3 chapters of Winds of Winter you can find on the internet to read. And it's like, I'm not gonna tease myself like that. What is... It's like... Death by 1,000 cuts.
Seriously. Oh my god, that's awful. I said Memoirs of a Geisha because I loved this when I read it, and then I researched into it and realized that the author based this story off of an actual person and then fictionalized a lot of the things that happened and actually ruined her life. Like, she got a lot of negative press because of it. And so she actually came out with her own story, like, of what really happened. Just trying to clear up all the stuff because she specifically asked him to remain anonymous. And he promised her that, yeah, that would be fine. And then just put her name out there and all this fictionalized stuff. Yeah. We'll
put the Goodreads link to her book down below, which is what you should read, right?
Yes,
because you did read that one, right?
No, I checked it out from the library and I intended to, and then I hit a reading slump and I didn't get to it. But
you're gonna get to it, though.
Eventually, I will get to that. Yes.
Which one are we on?
I don't know.
All right. Problematic. There we go. Have you ever written underlined text in a book?
It's the same as, have you ever dog-eared the pages in a book? No, because only evil people do that.
Say what you will about trade paperbacks. I have trade paperbacks that I have read that still have a spine that looks like this because I will gingerly just barely hold them open and crick my neck as to not crease the spine.
See, when I was younger, I would get a paperback and I would turn it to the middle and I would purposely crack it for the first time because it would make me feel less horrible about, propping it up and setting stuff on it and, like, setting it like this and whatever. Like, I would beat them up, but I would never dog-ear the pages or write in them or anything. Like, it was a symbol of, like, being well-loved to have a really messed up spine like that.
And the used copies of books that I buy that have a beat up spine, it doesn't bother me, and it's almost kind of comforting because I can just allow myself to just let it be. And but if it was a new book that I don't smell anything.
It smells so good. Okay, sorry. I don't know if we're gonna be able to use this video. It's so bad.
So we're already at 15 minutes here. So.
Okay, last question, and finally, I am presuming that all of your books were bought in independent bookshops and not from the very devil that is Amazon, right? No. We try and support our local secondhand bookstore as much as possible. We take all of our trade-ins there, and we try and buy as much as possible secondhand. Mostly, well, and then from a charity shop.
Yeah.
Because I love the idea of buying secondhand, and like keep the book in circulation, like keep like multiple people being able to enjoy the same story. But that being said, we're almost out of time. It is sometimes cheaper to just buy it off the internet.
Yeah, if you can't find it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're almost out of time on my phone here. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for sticking with us through this video. We love you. Give us some comments, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.